Good evening and Selamat Hari Raya Aidil Fitri. It's Raya Mia and this is AWANI Tonight. Malaysia improves ranking in press freedom and more people are ready to leave their jobs post-pandemic. More on that coming up. The water supply to over 470 localities in Selangor is expected to return in stages starting 9 p.m. tonight. Selangor earlier ordered an unscheduled shutdown of the Jenderam Hile raw water pump station after pollution was detected on the surface of the water source. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shahri said checks done at 3:30 p.m. today found that the pollution had been neutralized several hours after it was first detected around dawn. He said it was the third such incident of pollution in the same place this week. Selangor said the Sungai Semenyih water treatment plant had resumed operations at 3:30 p.m. Full water supply resumption to affected areas is expected by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, MySejahtera has been updated to include a new feature to trace other infectious diseases besides COVID-19 in their area. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said users will just have to type in their current location on the app. The new feature allows users to see the number of active cases of diseases such as hand, foot and mouth disease or HFMD. Recently, the number of HFMD cases in Selangor was increasing at an alarming rate, with 112 clusters reported so far. HFMD infects children under the age of 7. Some of the other diseases that can be traced include rabies, measles, and dengue. Malaysia improved its ranking in the latest annual World Press Freedom Index by non-profit group Reporters Without Borders. It ranked Malaysia 113 out of 180 countries in 2022, a leap of 6 spots from the year prior. Despite the improved ranking, Malaysia recorded a lower score of 51.55 compared to 60.53 in 2021, where it recorded the worst deterioration, down 18 places from 2020. In Southeast Asia, Malaysia ranked the highest in the annual index, followed by Thailand at 115, Indonesia 117, and Singapore at the 139th spot. Timor-Leste ranked 17 with a global score of 81.89. Countries are ranked based on political, economic, legislative, social, and security indicators. Commenting on the state of media freedom in Malaysia, Reporters Without Borders said the government exerts a great deal of political pressure to deter the media from tackling taboo subjects or from criticizing politicians and government officials. It also said that authorities harass investigative reporters. For 2 decades, Reporters Without Borders has ranked countries and territories around the world by how free their press is. Nordic countries, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden again top the index, serving as democratic models where freedom of expression flourishes. Hong Kong deteriorated substantially from 80th spot in 2021 to 148th in 2022. Reporters Without Borders said Hong Kong has seen an unprecedented setback since 2020 when Beijing adopted a national security law aimed at silencing independent voices. Ukraine also fell from the 97th spot last year to 106 in 2020. It said the war launched by Russia threatens the survival of the Ukrainian media. In its 2022 report, it said unregulated online content has spread disinformation and propaganda that have amplified political divisions worldwide. 82% of Malaysian employees will look for new jobs in the next 6 months. This is according to Michael Page Malaysia's Talent Trends Report 2022, which revealed a significant shift in the workforce over the past 2 years. We asked Managing Director Nick Chambers why people are ready to leave their current jobs to seek for new opportunities.
During the last 2 years, people have really looked at what's important to them and wanting to look at the value that they create from the jobs that they all have and look at their own value. And I think there's a situation where people are starting to reconsider what is truly important to them. Is it working 10 hours a day? Is it commuting 1 hour to work? Is it, suffering from burnout? And the reality is it's not. There's a lot more motivators that we're now seeing becoming exceptionally important, such as well-being and work-life balance and flexibility within the workplace. And they're three concepts that were spoken about, but very few companies were really practicing. And I think because some of the answers to those questions we ask ourselves start to become no's and maybes, that sets off a spark inside to want to look for something else. And also taking some control back in our lives. We've lived in a pretty suppressed world for the last 2 years, and people want to take some control back. And part of that control is changing jobs.
In retaining employees, Nick said companies shouldn't keep them in the dark by encouraging communication and feedback on a regular basis.
Talent is generally a company's biggest asset. We have to acknowledge that. But the great thing is there's a lot that companies can be doing. I think if we look at the workforce today, never before have we been in an environment where people are so willing to talk and communicate and share their opinions, especially if you look at the newer generations entering the workforce. Gen Z are very open with what they expect from an employer and what they're looking for in careers. In terms of what companies can be doing, it's listening to the shop floor, listening to the opinions of your employees, running pulse surveys every 3 to 6 months. Have your say surveys. They're a great way to find out, what do your companies want? The world of employment has had its greatest shift in the last 2 years. And if companies think that they're able to continue operating in a post-pandemic world, how they were pre-pandemic, they're going to really struggle. And if you're not focused on flexibility within the workplace, if you're not looking at employee well-being, if you're not leading with care and leading with empathy, you're going to really struggle to retain talent.
The IMF predicts that emerging economies like Malaysia could see inflation soar up to 8% on the back of the war in Ukraine and economic slowdown in China. With the cost of living poised to increase, can we anticipate a hike in salary? Can companies afford it?
You would expect to see salaries increase if inflation was to increase. Now, I actually think the Malaysian government have done a number of really good things throughout the last 2 years, like allowing people to draw down on their EPF, for example, reducing contributions from 9%, from 12% down to 9%. So there's a number of things that the government has already done. But with the cost of living, looking to increase, you would expect to see salaries follow that same suit as well. But again, even if salaries were to increase in line with inflation, that won't change candidates' motivations. They will still look for employers who offer well-being within the workplace, a good, positive company culture, an environment that are aligned to their values, that are purpose-led. These will still remain really important motivators for employees.
We'll continue after the break. Stay tuned.
Insan yang berjaya juga insan seperti kita. Didorong ke azaman demi mencapai cita-cita mereka. Super. Melengkapkan juadah anda.
Kita sering menyangka rumah kita tentunya bersih, namun debu-debu yang tersembunyi tetap ada. Dyson V12 Detect Slim dengan teknologi laser pengesan debu memerangkap zarah yang tidak boleh dilihat dengan mata kasar. Kuasa sedotan menyesuaikan diri secara automatik dan penapisan keseluruhan mesin memerangkap habuk halus, membersihkan tempat yang sukar dicapai dan memberikan anda bukti saintifik. Beraya di rumah yang lebih bersih bersama Dyson. Nikmati plan ansuran faedah 0% dari Dyson.
Baharu, pasca bayar 38U Mobile dengan kelajuan internet tanpa batas. Nikmati data pantas 30GB, panggilan tanpa had dan sedia untuk 5G. Hanya RM38 sebulan.
Welcome back. The buzz around Metaverse is taking the technology sector by storm, but when will it take off in a big way? According to software giant Adobe, early Metaverse technology is already being incorporated into marketplaces and will only become more compelling as brands get better at creating hyper-realistic digital worlds.
we definitely see that the metaverse is not just getting a lot of attention from the Web3 and crypto crowd, but also from major brands looking at taking it seriously. And arguably the gaming industry has been doing a lot of similar things already. Now, a lot of customers in the game, we have a lot of customers in the gaming industry using our tools to create those digital experiences.
Adobe is already providing tool sets for virtual and augmented reality production. Simon believes that brands need to prepare now to make the most of the many opportunities the metaverse presents.
Well, I already see examples of it in e-commerce, for example. So if you look at the Nike by You example, where you can go and customize your sneaker, and then when you click yes, I'm happy with my options, it will produce a very photorealistic rendition of your shoe that you've designed. And I've done this. I've got a pair of sneakers that I bought for that capability. And it's a really clever use of this kind of example of making something photorealistic, but it's a purely digital creation. Similarly, augmented reality on Amazon, for example, we've helped them with our 3D capabilities to put furniture that's really photorealistic into an augmented reality app that you can then put in your living room, right, for example, and go, oh, I've got this piece of furniture that looks about right, and so I'll go and buy it, rather than buying it and find that it doesn't work and returning it. So there's even an element of sustainability in some of this augmented reality, which you could link it to as well. So those are good examples of where people are doing something in the real world and in a business sense. And then there's lots of examples of people looking at augmented reality for tourism, virtual tourism or enhanced tourism experiences like the Mandai group here in Singapore that we're working with. And it's things like that that are starting to give people the skills and the understanding which are helping them to decide, is this commercial ready? Is it for us, and where can it be applied in that context?
On to international news. An unusually brutal heat wave is continuing to scorch parts of India as the country recorded its third hottest April in more than 120 years. Demand for electricity has surged to record levels, with acute power shortages affecting millions. Temperatures have soared above 45 degrees in a number of cities in the past week. Supplies of coal and many thermal power plants are running low, causing daily power outages in several states for up to 7 hours. The shortages are sparking scrutiny of India's long reliance on coal, which produces 70% of the country's electricity. Current power cuts are hurting the economy, which had been rebounding after pandemic shutdowns. Experts warn it could disrupt essential services such as hospitals. Out of India's 165 coal plants, 94 are facing critically low coal supplies, while 8 are not operational as of Sunday. Meanwhile, an elderly Shanghai resident was mistakenly declared dead and taken to a morgue in a body bag. A video that went viral online sparked concerns over how Chinese authorities are handling COVID-19 amid strict lockdown measures in the city. 6 people are under investigation in Shanghai after the incident. In the video, 2 funeral parlor workers in full protective suits are seen carrying a yellow bag out of a hearse. The elderly man was then swiftly returned inside the nursing home after he was found to be alive. The district government said in a statement yesterday that he was now in stable condition. Authorities in Shanghai began to slowly ease lockdown restrictions, which saw the city's 26 million people locked in their homes for nearly a month. The arts, culture, and fashion industries are all geared up for post-pandemic economic recovery. On our special Lebaran Awani episode, we talked to artist Elena Meringue and entrepreneur Wulandari Herman on staging a comeback. That's coming up right after Awani Tonight. Now that's all we have for you on Awani Tonight. My name is Soraya Mia, and on behalf of the Awani Tonight team, we would like to wish you a Selamat Hari Raya Maaf Zahir dan Batin. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching.